There's probably been a time in your life when you've thought you're too behind, you're too late. What if you're not? What if you're just blooming later and you're in progress right now and you're blooming? And that's okay. And that sounds cheesy, but stick with me here, okay? So I was gonna start this video in a different way, but I went on Instagram today and I saw a friend from college has a massive following and it really hit me. She owns her own business, CEO, talked about that online, and this one like short video went viral on like right pages, and they're tearing her apart, ripping her to shreds, and I'm like, my God, why? I just like hate the patriarchy because women are so freaking powerful. It kind of made me emotional watching it because I'm like, dude, you're killing it. Like, you're doing so incredible. You're doing things that so many women and people would absolutely dream of accomplishing and doing by this point. I just think about all of my like limiting beliefs, and I think about all of these reasons of why I've held myself back, and then I've felt behind because I've held myself back even more. If you get anything from this video, I just want you to stop overthinking and start taking action. It's not freaking worth it. This video that I watched earlier, it made me realize there's gonna be so many people that will criticize you and will scare you absolutely shitless because there are just scary people out there. We're living in scary times. You need to do what you feel in your gut you're supposed to do. And if that's posting content, if that's living your truth and being your authentic self, if that's creating the business, if it's you going after this hobby you've been thinking about starting, whatever it is, I want this video to remind you that it's not too late. You're not behind. Literally, you can do anything at any point, okay? So that's how I wanna start this video, and let's get right into it. So when I started YouTube, it was like right after college. I obviously did not exactly know who I was at that point in time, and I don't think that's a negative thing. I think you can start YouTube or content creation or whatever you want when you don't fully know yourself. The problem was I started seeing growth. I landed on eco-friendly product reviews, started seeing growth during the pandemic, and as we all know, the pandemic changed all of our lives. I had time to sit down and actually self-reflect and think about what was going on, and I finally embraced my queerness fully. My life did a 180. Everything I thought, all my plans came crumbling down. It was like truly the hardest part of my life was going through that, and I'm so glad because I've finally been able to like embrace fully who I am now and be surrounded by people that are so supportive and so great. The YouTube started feeling really unaligned. I have so much going on in my own personal life that I was not ready to show up online. I could barely show up in real life. I could barely show up authentically in real life. So how the heck was I supposed to show up online? There was no way. When you're repressing and hiding bits of yourself for years, there's a long journey and a long process to get to where you need to be to fully show up as you are and fully accept who you are. And then of course, because I wasn't showing up consistently and then I started posting really sporadically, I was getting really stressed out. I felt a lot of like shame and pressure to like create the content I had during the pandemic. I just felt so behind. I felt so behind. And there's this like a late bloomer lesbian kind of thing on TikTok. I saw a lot of videos about that. That made me feel seen. It made me feel understood and heard because it's such a different experience. But when you have this huge part of your identity and that part of your identity helps you navigate the current world and truly your day-to-day, oh boy, it was a lot. Something I heard recently is that, I'm not saying the exact quote, but if you're trying to show up perfectly, you're not actually being your authentic self because no one is perfect. Your authentic self is gonna be messy and complicated, and there's nuances and there's a lot going on. And I want to embrace all the imperfections and show up online regardless of not being perfect. And I thought for so long I had to like have all these crazy edits and like be this amazing YouTuber and da 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 da. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. So I started feeling guilty that like I didn't have things figured out. I was pivoting, I was trying, and then I'd throw in some eco-friendly content here and there, and that would do well, of course, because that's how I grew my channel. Pivoting is really hard. I felt really guilty and like shame around wanting to pivot when I knew something that already worked on YouTube. I had growth, and now I'm throwing that away for what? And then I was comparing myself to people around me who were my age, and I was like, they have things figured out. Why do I not have things figured out? Why are they growing families and I'm just like trying to live and be happy and figure out what I want, because I didn't know what I want, and I'm still figuring that out. I think that's the beauty of like having a queer timeline, is like it's not gonna be the same. It takes a lot to finally accept and embrace who you are authentically and fully. Long story short, I just felt a lot of shame about not having things figured out. I thought I had social media figured out. I thought I had YouTube figured out. I thought I had my life figured out. And I felt like everything, I was behind on quite literally everything in my life. So here's what I'm gonna call my bloom moment. Cause yes, welcome to the late bloomer neighborhood, society, I don't know. Welcome. God, that's so cheesy. But that's me, okay? I'm just gonna leave it in because we're imperfect. I was finally talking through, working through my fears and what I was afraid to do and what I was afraid to show up as and how I was afraid to show up. And I was so afraid of like everyone else's judgments of me, like truly so afraid to be seen as my authentic self. And that sounds so dumb and it's so cheesy. My roommate is in the other room, and so I'm feeling a little embarrassed, self-conscious about talking about it right now, but I had been pretty isolated during the pandemic, obviously. I got like comfortable in that, and there was finally a point where I was like, okay, I have to get out of my comfort zone or I'm gonna be miserable. I have to get out of my comfort zone to shake this in order to try new things, not be afraid of being seen, not be afraid of everyone else's judgments of me. I just have to break out of this comfortable pattern, this comfortable cycle that I'm in right now, this routine that I was in because of the pandemic, because I was so isolated during the pandemic. So finally I started trying new things. I started trying improv, pickleball, swing dancing. Like I was trying so many different things, getting out there, dating again. I had to put myself out there because I knew if I didn't, it would be just this miserable cycle of feeling like I couldn't be myself. And I think that made me realize that like you are allowed to change directions. You can try something new whenever you want. The story of your life doesn't have to be the same. Like it can change over time because you choose to try something new. You try to pivot. You literally do a 180 in your life and you're like, I am unhappy. I need to do something to make me happy. Do it. This is your sign. This is a video to be like, just take the action. It's truly never too late. Like I thought I had messed up my life. I thought I was gonna be miserable, and this is so cheesy and people are gonna roll their eyes probably watching this, but like I truly thought like I was never gonna be happy and I would be alone and like miserable. Like I just thought I blew it because I had this time frame of when I had to figure everything out. I've since learned that that's not the case. Like there's even this TikTok trend right now where it's like women in their 30s and they're literally thriving. If I compare everything I went through in my 20s, I'm like, damn. We went through some crazy life lessons back then. You're just a baby adult in your 20s, right? You're figuring things out and you're going through it. It is what it is. You finally, hopefully, make it out on the other side, learning a lot more about yourself, about who you are, who you want to be, what you need to do, how you get out of your comfort zone to grow. And I just want to keep growing. I just want to keep trying new things. And that sounds cheesy and I'm getting self-conscious, but it's okay to have your own flipping timeline. Literally, there is no rules, no guidelines for life. In my mind, the only guidelines are being kind to people, being empathetic, and doing your best. Just caring about yourself and people and your community. Those are my guidelines for life, and trying to grow and be better as a human and learning more. I feel very vulnerable talking about this, truly, but if this helps one person, then I will feel good. This would help me. I truly felt like once I embraced my queerness, once I was like, yes, I am indeed a lesbian. There is no shame in that. Man, that was hard to say on camera. I say it all the time in real life. but I've never said it on camera before. So that's weird. That's interesting and new. It took me a long time to finally say that and be like, this is who I am. Once I was finally able to embrace that and say that, I was like, okay, now I gotta like be that person in real life. And I'm not saying be fake, I'm not saying be phony, but I needed to be my authentic self and not hide. I was hiding. I was truly so terrified about what everyone else was thinking of me and how they were gonna judge me or how they were gonna judge XYZ person in my life. I can't control it. You can't control it. I truly cannot emphasize enough how important it is to be yourself. Life gets so much better and I have become so much happier because I've been able to be myself and because I showed up in a room full of strangers multiple times being like, this is who I am, having no shame around that. And it's scary and terrifying when you're showing up as your true self for the first several times in your life and you've never just felt so exposed before. But it feels so good when you also find the people who just fully embrace you. No questions, just, yeah, cool, okay. It's really healing. It's really healing to your younger self to feel that way when for so long you're so afraid of being yourself. So anyways, moving on. If you've been feeling like you missed your chance, you're too late, you have no shot now because you're too old, whatever it is, please, please, please hear me out. You're not behind. You're blooming. You're a late bloomer. You're in progress. It's about taking the actions, taking the steps to get to the place you want to be at. Maybe it's trying a new job. Maybe it's totally pivoting and being like, this is not the career for me. Or being like, okay, this whole life I thought I was gonna have and the life I planned for myself is not actually what I want. Like, this is actually someone else's dream that I'm trying to follow. Like, whatever it is for you, or it's making content on YouTube, it's not too late. If you're making content, things are not too saturated. My friend just started her YouTube channel like 6 months ago and is growing crazy. Like, she's growing and doing so well. It's not too late. Some people are blossoming in their 20s, some people are blossoming in their 40s, some people are blossoming in their 80s, some people are blossoming after they experience something really traumatic or like a big life change. Whatever it is, like, people have their own timeline. I am so frustrated with myself that like I thought I had to have this like perfect timeline and I don't, and I'm figuring it out, and I want you to know you can figure it out whenever. It is not too late. How many times have I said that in this video? And I'm gonna tell you right now, nothing is working out how I want it to for this video. My battery has died. My roommate came home when I was filming, which was a little awkward. And then my memory card ran out of space. Everything is weird. Just put in a new battery. Anyways, show up imperfectly is the lesson we're learning here. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. Show the messy, be seen for who you are right now. You don't have to show up when you reach some ideal version of yourself. Just show up. You're allowed to be accepted and loved by people for where you're at right now. I think sometimes it can feel very isolating when it feels like other people have a very different vision of what life should be like. And if you're still figuring it out and you're doing different things than like, I don't know, the majority of people in your life, it feels very scary and isolating and lonely. So if any of you also are like a late bloomer in any way, I would love for you to comment below so people don't feel super alone. I myself identify as a late bloomer. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you guys liked it. Stay tuned for more content like this. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you next week. Bye guys.